Howdy ho, folks. It's your multiversal medium here with something completely different. Oh, that opening theme is nostalgia incarnate. Today we're in the world of Tamriel, specifically with Morrowind, the third entry in the Elder Scrolls series, or at least the third major entry. So at the end of Dread Delusion, I mentioned this was going to be my next series, and I also mentioned this is my favorite game of all time, but I've never finished it. I've actually never had a single playthrough to any form of completion. I've always had to stop for one reason or another, but I'm hoping now that we're on the channel and we're doing this for basically YouTube, I'll be able to finish this game and this nostalgia and this joy of my childhood to some degree. Now, I'm going to go over a bit of the nonsense that I'm expecting for the series, but there are timestamps down below if you just want to skip that, get into gameplay, and there should be timestamps for every episode after this, so feel free to skip ahead, do you. Anyways, as you can see in the bottom right, we are currently doing Open Morrowind. Open Morrowind is a complete recreation of Morrowind by fans in engine. That being said, it is updated and meant to kind of bug fix the more glaring game-breaking bugs, a majority of the reasons the game crashes, because we know this is a Bethesda game. They do that. And it is meant to more easily run on modern hardware. So if at any point you do want to play Morrowind, maybe because I'm playing it, maybe because you've seen a lot of videos online recently, maybe because you've listened to some dude constantly sell it to you, don't listen to them, by the way. It's my favorite game. I don't recommend it to people because it takes time. But if you do want to try this game, feel free to look up Open Morrowind. It is a great way to have a more vanilla experience without any issues on modern hardware. Because PCs, as they keep updating, make it harder and harder to play older and older games. It is a fan project, and I highly recommend it just after skimming and looking into it to get this series going. Beyond that, this is not only Morrowind or Morrowind Game of the Year Edition, because it is. It's got the 2 DLCs, Tribunal and Blood Moon. But I went out of my way to look up and grab all of the official plugins that were backed by Bethesda. For those of you that have played more modern Elder Scrolls games, I guess you could make the assumption slash leap in logic to assume those plugins are similar to Creation Club content. Not exactly DLC, but something that Bethesda fully backs and is like, yeah, this is lore accurate. Yeah, we're fine with this. You guys can have this. This is still within setting, and this does not change everything world building wise. This is officially backed. I didn't even know there were official plugins for Morrowind until I started getting this going, but I grabbed all of them. Now, if you're wondering what they are, there's a handful of various armors, a few shops, a few quests. They're mainly things that were, I think, published on Bethesda's website back in the day, and you can easily grab these from the UESP online as just a quick download for them. One of them is also a pre-order bonus if you pre-ordered the game back in the day at EB Games. But through the powers of online, I don't even know if it'd be considered piracy. It's not really piracy. I really don't think it is. Either way, you can also get that on the UESP. I believe you might also be able to find them on modding aggregation sites like Nexus Mods, but that's neither here nor there. I trust the UESP for a majority of things when it comes to Elder Scrolls. And if you ever want to look up anything for the series, that's where the heck you go. Now, beyond that, I did add, I want to say, 3 or so mods. And before you ask, they're nothing game-breaky. They're because I think fashion is the truest meta at the end of the game. And yes, I know all the characters look like PS1 models. I still got to get my fashion sense on. Anyways, the mods I downloaded were basically helmets and footwear for beast races. It doesn't exactly get rid of any of the footwear in the game or replace it with versions that also work for beast races. It just adds new beast race footwear that you can find and encounter in the game. And the closed helmets and other helmets for various types of armor, light, medium, heavy, now also work for beast races as far as I'm aware. So basically, it's just going to let me make my character look a bit more however the heck I want. That's the long and short of it. Those that don't know, beast races, Argonians, and Khajiit look a bit more animalistic in Morrowind. And honestly, I'm kind of sad they took that away in later entries. I'll talk more about that later because I always have a lot to say about Elder Scrolls. It's one of my favorite series. But since they look more animalistic, they were not able to wear shoes, and a lot of helmets and hats would not work on their models because they had snouts and the like. So this is more just a means of handling that. Anyways, I think it's about time we hop on in and get this going. Each event is preceded by prophecy, but without the hero, there's no event. The Under King. In the waning years of the third era of Tamriel, a prisoner born on a certain day to uncertain parents was set under guard, without explanation, to Morrowind, ignorant of the role he was to play in the nation's history.
They have taken you from the Imperial City's prison, first by carriage and now by boat. To the east, to Morrowind. Fear not, for I am watchful. You have been chosen.
Many fall, but one remains.
Wake up. We're here. Why are you shaking? Are you okay? Wake up. Stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. What's your name?
Jiub. Jiub? I don't know how to say his name, sadly. But this dude is low-key a fan favorite, or maybe just a Bethesda Office favorite. So, besides this game being groundbreaking for the series when it came out, him being the first character you see and hear, and it, I guess, left a great impression on people. So he is in every major entry after this. Besides, you only see him in the opening of Morrowind here during this bit. In Oblivion, you see his... You know, I'm not going to go into detail, but you do see him both in Oblivion and Skyrim, if you do look for him. Anyways, let's head on in with Hansi, our classic name.
Not even last night's storm could wake you. I heard them say we've reached Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go.
Okay, I just messed with the music.
Quiet. Here comes the guard.
This is where you get off. Come with me.
Okay, just a bit of tutorial. And I just messed with the music bit so that voices will be a bit louder. I will equalize it so that the music is perfectly audible in the editing later, so it shouldn't be much of an issue. But just so the small amount of voices in this game aren't drowned out by it.
Get yourself up on deck and let's keep this as civil as possible.
Another tutorial nonsense of just exiting through doors and stuff.
This is where they want you. Head down to the dock and he'll show you to the census office.
Wonderful. So groundbreaking at the time.
You finally arrived, but our records don't show from where.
Alrighty, character creation. So this is going to be divvied up in various ways, but I should go into the race and gender selection. So, various races have various skills related to them. All these skills get a bonus, as you can see over to the right. If you choose a dark elf, they will have 5 bonus athletics, which is honestly great. I love athletics. It makes you go faster, and going fast is always fun. That's why Sonic is a series. They also get all these other skills, and it depends on how you want to play this game, but this can mean a lot or nothing, depending on how you want to play this game. If you're just starting the game or want to play along, you've never had a chance to, honestly, just pick a race you kind of like. It doesn't matter. Go in blind for a majority of the aspects when it comes to skill bonuses. Make a character you're okay looking at. Beyond that, gender. Gender does have a reasoning for choosing one or the other if you really want to look deeper into it. Specifically, males and females of each race have different starting stats. Sometimes the males will have like a higher strength stat, or maybe a higher endurance, where females will have like a higher intelligence stat. Once more, this is all stuff that most individuals do not need to care about unless they're diving super deep into the game. Going over the specials, as you can see over here, Dark Elves have Ancestor Guardian, where they can summon a Sanctuary for 50 points for 60 seconds on self. Basically, they get a free cast of a spell, as well as Resist Fire is a constant of, what is that, 75%? That's pretty good. So basically, every race as a whole has something like that. If you, for whatever reason, want to do a Spellcaster, usually you'd want High Elf or Breton because they get a Magicka bonus. Bretons get 1.5 the amount of Magicka that other races would get. So if whatever character you got had 100 Magicka, Bretons would have 150. Whereas High Elves would have, I think, 250? That being said, there's caveats to it. High Elves are weak to magic, weak to fire, weak to frost, weak to shock, but they do resist disease. So yeah, it's kind of what the heck you want to do. I think Breton is a great starting race for a majority of people starting the game. Not just for the magic bonus, because you might want to get into spellcasting. It's more so to resist magicka. And this is my view anytime anyone is starting up Elder Scrolls. Breton is a solid starting race. Resisting magic, which is very deadly to people who don't know how to play the game or are just starting out in the game or series, is really useful. I don't know if anyone watching this has ever played Skyrim, even though it's one of the most popular games of all time. But there are some spells in Skyrim that absolutely wreck. I'm thinking of that, gosh, that frost spell that kind of just slowly moves forward. That wrecks you. It really does at lower levels. And some enemies always have it, like the Briarheart enemies in the game. Well, as a Breton, you'd resist a good amount of that damage. And that's something that's kind of true throughout the entire series. Bretons have resistance to it, so if you want to pick up Elder Scrolls at any point, it's a solid starting race to dip your toes into things. Now, like I said, High Elf and Breton are the main ones you might want to be a caster. Imperial is, well, they're persuasive. Not only can they absorb fatigue, which has its uses, I'll talk about that later, but they can charm other individuals. Khajiits can have Night Eye, which is useful depending. Some people just prefer to crank the brightness on their like screen or whatever. I have fear though demoralize humanoids. So basically you can get various bandits or other types of humanoid enemies to not want to fight anymore. That's pretty good. Nords have something they don't have in later entries. Immune to frost. Not resist frost damage, they're just immune to it. They also resist shock damage, and then they have an ability that lets them do frost damage as well as shield themselves. So Nords, as they're known to be, are great warrior types, as are orcs. Look, resist magicka. That's wonderful. If you want to do a bit more of a warrior type playthrough in Morrowind, because this isn't in later entries, feel free to choose an orc. This is the first game that lets you play as one, at least as far as I'm aware, because of certain plot nonsense in Elder Scrolls 2. They also have Berserk, which fortifies a lot of their stats and stuff just to do better damage for a short period of time. It's some good stuff, great for a warrior build. Red Guards are kind of the de facto warriors in the entire series, and I don't even feel like questioning that. Their ability, Adrenaline Rush, raises a majority of their base stats for 60 seconds, as well as their health. Like, this is just, yeah, they wreck things. It's great for a warrior build too. Wood Elves and Khajiit are more like sneaky stuff, but if you dipped your toes into Elder Scrolls, you already know this. Wood Elves can also command creature as their special ability. Now we're going to get up to Argonians, the race I'm going to choose. We have all these other things, but we have resistance to disease. 75 points. That's fairly common in a lot of the races, but it's whatevs, it helps. You don't want to constantly have to either go to an NPC to cure your diseases. You don't want to have to constantly be chugging cure disease potions, and you don't want to have to constantly be wasting your magicka to cure diseases yourself. So yeah, resisting it, pretty good. Immune to poison, that's just good. That's just awesome. Poison damage isn't the most common thing throughout the entirety of the series, but being immune to anything is pretty awesome. Now, that being said, there is a bit of a caveat if you have played an Argonian in Oblivion or Skyrim. Water breathing. Water breathing isn't a constant in this game. I have a self-cast that will last 2 minutes. So, one, it's super useful just to have that ability. But two, I will have to find places to breathe as an Argonian, unlike in later entries. Which means possibly down the road, we're going to just enchant something for water breathing, because there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of dungeons and exploration-based moments where you are underwater in this game. And there are enemies underwater. Being hit by an enemy will also kind of like stun you for a brief moment, depending on how well they hit you. So, you never want to be stuck underwater in this game fighting an enemy and then start drowning. So yeah, just having that will give us a bit of breathing room, haha, pun intended. It will also give us a bit of a jumping off point to later super tackle these underwater dungeons and areas. So I'm gonna go with female Argonians. I know, kind of hard to tell, right? But I kind of like that. I do kind of like that for beast races. I have never been a super fan of beast races being super bestial male type and then females in beast race. It's just girl with maybe a bit of beast traits here and there. What? Cat monster dude and then girl with cat ears? No, that's stupid. I hate that. Okay, this is the character we're going with. I'm going to tell you guys right now, there are not a lot of customization options for your character's head and hair for majority of the races, especially Argonians. If you want more than what the heck they have, go ahead and start modding stuff. It is not super hard to mod something like Morrowind. Even with open Morrowind, there are mods that work with it. Like I said at the start of this series, I do have a few mods specifically to have closed helmets for Argonians and Khajiit. Okay, let's get into it.
Great. I'm sure you'll fit right in. Follow me up to the office and they'll finish your release.
Good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. Get into the census office.
Yes, we've been expecting you. You'll have to be recorded before you're officially released. There are a few ways we can do this, and the choice is yours.
Okay, so I am going to be creating my own custom class. I do have notes on what the heck I want, but considering this is one of the 2 games that lets you do this. Actually, did they also allow this in Arena? I can't remember if they allowed this in Elder Scrolls 1. But we are going to be answering his questions because it's a fun little trivia thing. It feels like you're answering everything at the end of an old Cosmo magazine or something for who's your perfect boy type or whatever. But instead of boy, it's like, who's your perfect class? Do our weird end of the magazine trivia. Just do this. So yeah.
On a clear day, you chance upon a strange animal, its leg trapped in a hunter's claw snare. Judging from the bleeding, it will not survive long. What do you do?
Do not interfere in the natural evolution of events, or rather, take the opportunity to learn more about a strange animal that you have never seen before. Draw your dagger, mercifully ending its life with a single thrust. Use herbs from your pack to put it to sleep. So, it's a strange animal we've never seen before, in a claw snare, which means the hunter has caught it. Honestly, I would not consider natural form of events happening at this point because humans have already interacted with this creature. It's one thing if you're on National Geographic and you're watching a cheetah eat a gazelle. That's natural events. We have a hunter snare there. That's not natural events. Humans have interacted. Drawing your dagger to end its suffering, I'm probably going to lean towards that. Because using herbs is just putting it to sleep, but letting it bleed out. That's kind of running away from the issue. Yeah, you're going to kill it in a single thrust.
One summer afternoon, your father gives you a choice of chores. What would you rather do?
Gather herbs for your mother, who is preparing dinner. Go catch fish at the stream using a net and line. Work in the forge with him, casting iron for a new plow. Well, not the forge. I can't stand the heat. I love fishing in games, but not super much in real life. Herbs I'm highly allergic to, so we're going fishing. I'm allergic to a majority of things outside.
Your cousin has given you a very embarrassing nickname, and even worse, likes to call you it in front of your friends. You have asked him to stop, but he finds it very amusing to watch you blush. What do you do?
Make up an even more embarrassing nickname for him and use it constantly until he learns his lesson. Beat up your cousin, then tell him that if he ever calls you that nickname again, you will bloody him worse than this time. Make up a story that makes your nickname a badge of honor instead of something humiliating. So, I ain't the type to just like beat the crap out of individuals. A nickname for him, I don't need to embarrass him. Like, I'm not going to stoop down to his level. This is legit what I do in that scenario. I've been called stupid things and I've just leaned into it. It's something various people in my life that have gotten to know me vaguely recently, like the past few years, have learned to horrifying degree that if you try to poke a joke at me, I will lean into it until you get uncomfortable. So yeah, it's going to become a badge of honor.
There is a lot of heated discussion at the local tavern over a group of people called telepaths. They've been hired by certain city-state kings. Rumor has it these telepaths read a person's mind and tell their lord whether a follower is telling the truth or not. You believe what?
What do I believe? Loyal followers to the king have nothing to fear from a telepath. It is important to have a method of finding assassins and spies before it is too late. In these times, it is a necessary evil. Although you do not necessarily like the idea, a telepath could have certain advantages during a time of war, or if finding someone innocent of a crime. This is a terrible practice. A person's thoughts are his own, and no one, not even a king, has the right to make such an invasion into another human's mind. I mean, there are moments where the ends justify the means. I'm not so patriotic where I wouldn't find this disgusting, because it is a very private matter. It is always a private matter. Your mind and yourself are private. It is sometimes the only bastion some people have. So I am not going to say the king's allowed to do that. This is great for the country. Yada yada. No, screw that. Sometimes there are moments where that could be useful. And finding someone innocent of a crime would be great. That being said, that is an idealized variant of what the heck's going on. And as we see in a majority of countries, not exactly like telepaths or whatever, but the slow encroachment on rights and what is allowed for the citizenship outside of the ruling class being encroached upon is to more easily set in stone new rules and laws. There is no proof that telepaths exist with what he said. But the ramifications of any king saying the telepath said you were lying and then just having you executed is now always there if we allow it. So it's a terrible practice, because there is no proof the telepath is actually a telepath, or this isn't just a means of forcing down the serving class.
Your mother sends you to the market with a list of goods to buy. After you finish, you find that by mistake a shopkeeper has given you too much money back in exchange for one of the items. What do you do?
Return to the store and give the shopkeeper his hard-earned money, explaining to him the mistake. Pocket the extra money, knowing that shopkeepers in general tend to overcharge customers anyways. Decide to put the extra money to good use and purchase items that would help your family. So, it depends on the overall setting. If we're talking about a small community where everyone knows everyone, I go to this shopkeeper every day. He's the only one manning the store, which is what this fantasy setting usually would be. I think there's only one shop in the town we're currently in. And if I lived in this town, I'd be constantly interacting with him. I would go and return it. I would. Why? Because that's Jerry. And Jerry's the one that freaking handles all the trade, and he's the reason I freaking have bread on my table. Of course I'm going to help out Jerry. Jerry's helping out me. Now, if we're talking about a more of a conglomerate corporation like IRL, I'm fine with either of these, but it would ultimately lean towards the bottom one, where I'm taking the money and putting it towards my family / things I'd need. At that point, that is a boon of a sort, especially in tough economic situations. But that's because F Walmart, or the equivalent of wherever the heck you are, those corporations are screwing you out of things. They constantly are. They've been raising the prices a lot. That being said, this is low-key in setting. I'm going to say I'm going to return it. But if this was IRL, I'd put it towards my family.
While in a marketplace, you witness a thief cut a purse from a noble. Even as he does so, the noble notices and calls for the city guards. In his haste to get away, the thief drops the purse near you. Surprisingly, no one seems to notice the bag of coins at your feet. What do you do?
Leave the bag there, knowing that it's better not to get involved. Pick up the bag and signal to the guard, knowing that the only honorable thing to do is return the money to its rightful owners. Pick up the bag and pocket it, knowing that the extra windfall will help your family in times of trouble. So this is a hot potato officially. Holding it could arguably get you in a lot of trouble one way or another if ever found out. I would not get involved whatsoever. 100%. There is nothing saying that if I return it to the guards, the noble says I didn't pocket a bit. That is a best case scenario of the noble being grateful and happy. Me keeping it, there's always the chance of the noble or anyone else finding out and facing the ramifications of the thief as a whole. I am GTFOing in this setting because a noble can just have the guards throw me in prison for no reason. But this would be enough reason for them to do it. So no, I'm out.
Your father sends you on a task which you loathe, cleaning the stables. On the way there, pitchfork in hand, you run into your friend from the homestead near your own. He offers to do it for you, in return for a future favor of his choosing. What do you do?
Decline his offer, knowing that your father expects you to do the work, and it is better not to be in debt. Accept his offer, reasoning that as long as the stables are cleaned, it matters not who does the cleaning. Ask him to help you, knowing that 2 people can do the job faster than 1, and agreed to help him with one task of his choosing in the future. I mean, I'm fine with all of these. I am. I highly doubt my father sending me to clean the stables as a way of building character, so I don't think I outright need to be the one cleaning the stables, though. I'd say let's do it together and I'll help him out with something. Like, that's just how friends are. He is my friend. If he just asked for help with a chore, I'd help him do it. It doesn't need to be like something I owe him. I've helped various friends clean out their house before, man. They ask, I go help. That's what friendship is.
Your mother asks you to help fix the stove. While you're working, a very hot pipe slips its moorings and falls towards her. What do you do?
Position yourself between the pipe and your mother. Grab the hot pipe and try to push it away. Push your mother out of the way. Instinctually, and how I know I'd work, I'd probably grab the pipe and try to push it away.
While in town, the baker gives you a sweet roll. Delighted, you take it into an alley to enjoy, only to be intercepted by a gang of 3 other kids your age. The leader demands the sweet roll, or else he and his friends will beat you and take it. What do you do?
This is the classic question. This has shown up so many times in Bethesda games. It's in Fallout 3, if I remember right. This question is low-key iconic, and I love it, and it's basically the reason I decided to do the whole trivia quiz. Act like you're going to give him the sweet roll, but at the last minute throw in the air, hoping that they'll pay attention to it long enough for you to get a shot in on the leader. Drop the sweet roll and step on it, then get ready for a fight. Give him the sweet roll now, without argument, knowing that later this afternoon, you will have all your friends with you and can come and take whatever he owes you. Honestly, I feel I'm not smart enough to toss it in the air and get a shot in. I would be either like stepping on it out of spite and getting ready to take some lumps, or handing it over, but I'm not super spiteful where I'd want to fight him afterward. Like, I'm not like, okay, this dude picked a fight first, now I gotta get my posse and fight him. I'm not starting a full-blown feud. Nah, I'm just gonna step on him and be like, sucks to suck, loser. And if he's gonna follow through with that, I guess I'll, like, defend myself.
Entering town, you find that you are witness to a very well-dressed man running from a crowd. He screams to you for help. The crowd behind him seems very angry. What do you do?
Rush to the town's aid immediately, despite your lack of knowledge of the circumstances. Stand aside and allow the man and mob to pass, realizing that it is probably best not to get involved. Rush to the man's aid immediately, Despite your lack of knowledge of the circumstances, I'm going to step aside. Like, 100%, you have zero info about what's going on. Maybe this dude's had his way with several individuals when they didn't want such, and now there's an angry mob. Maybe the angry mob is there simply as a bunch of impoverished individuals trying to gain anything and everything from him, low-key stripping him clean like a bunch of buzzards or whatever on a carcass. I don't know. And ultimately, I can't do anything in either scenario. If I go to this man's aid, then now we both have a mob after us. If I go to the mob's aid, now we just are chasing the same man together. I'm stepping to the side. There's no reason for me to interact whatsoever unless I have some sort of gambit in it. Okay. Your personality and past reflect a rogue. Okay, yeah. That's what we would be if we did the quiz. But we're going to create our own custom class. So I'm going to take a moment and actually fill this out and pause to have notes on it. But yeah, the little quiz thing is a lot of fun. If you ever play this or Daggerfall, do it at least once, even if you're making your own class. It's a lot of fun. And BRB. Alrighty, this is the class we're going to be going with. So a few things about class creation. When you're choosing your specialization, it's going to cover several skills, as you can kind of see from that drop-down combat. It's going to cover block, armor, medium, heavy, blunt, long blade, axe, spear, and athletics. So what that equates to is those skills give a bonus of 5 at the start of the game. Basically, my block, which may otherwise only be at 5, will now be at 10 because I chose combat. For my favorite attributes, these are going to get a bonus, I want to say, of 10 each. Endurance is how much health you get per level up. Basically 1/10 of whatever your endurance is. So I think this is going to put our endurance at what, 40, maybe 50 or so. And every level up, I will get 4 HP until I get to 50, and then I'll have 5 HP until I get to 60, so on and so forth, until you cap out endurance at 100, and then you're getting 10 HP per level up. So usually, if you want a lot of HP by a certain point in the game, you do want endurance. You do, and you want to rush to get that up. But there are other ways to play the game, and you don't need to do that. Luck, on the other hand, is a bit of a unique thing. Luck is very difficult to level up throughout the game. And basically, unless you do some specific things, it will take at minimal 50 levels to cap out your luck. Which is low-key horrifying. That being said, it is something we can do, and it's something I'm going to slowly be working towards. It doesn't need to happen, but I just like kind of capping out luck in my stats in general via leveling, but I'm not going to do it to the point where it takes away from this series. Now, major skills. Major skills as a whole, I believe, get a bonus of 25 at the start of the game. So my hand-to-hand, I think all your skills start at 5, by the way, will now be at 30, as opposed to just 5. Same with all of these. And I think minor skills get a bonus of 10, I want to say. Now, the reason I chose these skills. Basically, if you want to be able to get to a super high level, you want to choose skills that you don't have any other bonuses in. All the major and minor skills I chose are from magic and stealth, not combat, so those aren't interacting. Beyond that, none of my racial skills are interacting with any of these, so they are just getting the bonuses from minor and major. Now, beyond that, I'm not super min-maxing. I'm not going to be going above and beyond to do all this stuff. The reason I chose these skills in particular is that it will let me have control over my level ups. To level up, you need to level up one of your major or minor skills, or a culmination of your major and minor skills, 10 times. What that equates to is if I raised hand to hand 10 times, I'd get a level up. If I raised hand to hand 3 times, speechcraft 2 times, and then conjuration 5 times, I'd get a level up. So all of these skills as a whole are things I can control doing at my own pace to have a better choice of when I want to level up. And we can go more into that later. But basically, I just wanted to have the option of getting to high levels if I wanted to, while also having the option to choose when I'm going to level up and when I'm not going to, if that makes sense. So yeah. Beyond that, the name Hecatoncheires is the name for a Greek monster, the hundred-handed, Zeus's classic OG bro from him overthrowing the Titans, and a favor he had to pull in when the other Greek gods rebelled against Zeus. I think for a channel where I'm constantly using hand imagery for my icon and stuff, it fits for a class. That's it. It's the long and short of it. Anyways.
Very good. The letter that preceded, you mentioned you were born under a certain sign. And what would that be?
Alrighty, so all these signs offer various bonuses and sometimes demerits. The apprentice is a lot like the Breton and the high elf. They get a multiplier to their intelligence stat, and what that equates to is a multiplier to how much magicka they get. In the base game, I believe you get 2 times your intelligence stat for magicka. If I have 40 intelligence, that means my magicka cap is 80. If I had one of these multipliers, it would be beyond that. So you could stack arguably the apprentice with high elf and have a metric F ton of magicka. That being said, you'd be super weak to magicka. That is the demerit for capping this stuff off. But there are ways around it. Things like spells in order to shield yourself or prevent other enemies from casting magicka, to enchanted items. So it's not like it's going to outright kill you, you just have to be smart about it. The Atronach, one a lot in the series know, because it's got some really unique aspects. So spell absorption. Spell absorption means you absorb some of your enemy's spell to regain magicka. You get fortified magicka to a larger degree than the apprentice, but you get stunted magicka, which means you cannot regenerate magicka. So if you're going with the Atronach, you either have to have potions to regenerate magicka, or just get hit by spells. It's a fun, unique play style, and I kind of like it. It's like the magic equivalent of a berserker. It's pretty cool. The lady is actually one of, if not the best frickin' signs in Morrowind. Specifically for that endurance buff. Not only does it increase your HP per level up, but as I was over it in the class selection menu, it determines the amount of HP you have at the start of the game. So it's your starting point as well as how much HP. It doesn't have any demerits. These are just pure buffs to your personality and endurance, and it is a 50-point buff overall. 25 for endurance, 25 for personality. That's good. That is really good. The Lord, weakness to fire 100%, but you can cast a spell. Restore health 2 points for 30 seconds on self. So something some people may not be used to in Morrowind that became super common in later series, you do not regenerate health while just being out of combat. You don't regenerate health. You need to either rest or heal yourself up. And resting can be dangerous. Enemies can, and a lot of the time will, attack you if you rest while in the wilderness. That being said, sometimes you can't outright just go back to town to rest. So it's kind of playing a bit of a gamble of whether or not you'll get attacked, or you can start just juicing up on potions, or you can cast spells, so on and so forth. But having the ability to heal yourself 60 points just is nice. It really is. It's not too much of a demerit for 100% weakness to fire, because you can enchant stuff beyond that. There's ways to work around all the issues you may have with any character. Lover. Oh, I should mention one thing. Each of these signs has abilities. These are passive. Powers are things you cast. So Mooncalf, fortify agility 25 points. Hey, you get a 25 bonus to your agility right at the start of the game. And then you get Lover's Kiss, which will paralyze an enemy for 60 seconds, as well as damage their fatigue 200. Oh wait, it's actually damage your fatigue for 200 points on self for 1 second. So you basically lose 200 stamina by casting this. I will go more into what fatigue and stamina equate to as we go further into the game after this, but yeah, it is a lot more important than you may think. Mage. This is a really simple one, no demerits, just fortifies your maximum magicka. There's nothing wrong with it. If you just want a simple boost to your max magicka without any demerits, go for it. The ritual. So you can use a power that will restore health 100 points for 1 second on self. Just a pure heal. That's great. So powers are a once a day thing. Spells are something you can keep casting. So that's nice. You get some actual spells out of this one. Blessed Ward. Turn undead 100 points for 30 seconds. There's a lot of undead in this series, and there's a lot of undead in Morrowind. So that's really good. 100 points of undead. I don't know exactly what equates to the point system for undead, because I haven't looked into it, but that's a really strong turn undead spell. Less touch. Turn undead 100 points for 30 seconds on touch. So you can do it on target or on touch, but either way you can turn an undead. And there are a lot of those in this game, specifically the Serpent. So we get a spell. It's just a spell, so you can keep casting it. Poison 3 points for 30 seconds on touch, as well as damage health 1 point for 30 seconds. So yeah, just poison for what, 90 points, as well as damage health for 30. That's 120 points of damage right there. That's some good stuff. The Shadow, invisibility for 60 seconds on self. Good stuff. The Steed increases your speed by 25 points, which I understand people low-key going for. Until you get some points into athletics and speed in this game, you move slower than molasses. You really do. It's something you eventually overcome by continuously playing, but it is insufferable at the start. It really, really is. So, the Thief. Sanctuary, 10 points. So, I can't remember exactly what Sanctuary equates to. There are a lot of spells in this game that aren't in later series, so I'd have to look it up. But hey, it's an ability you can cast once a day. The Tower. So, once a day we can open a lock of 50 points on touch. What that basically equates to, I guess, in later entries is a journeyman lock. I believe it's journeyman. Basically a medium difficulty lock. You can just open with a spell. Beyond that, we also get these spells, detect animal, or just one spell that will detect animals for 200 feet for 60 seconds, detect enchantment for 200 feet, and detect keys for 200 feet. Yeah, some stuff is hidden, and this is really good for a rogue kind of playthrough. That being said, if you're doing a rogue kind of playthrough and never learned how to properly pick locks, I suppose you could eventually learn spells just to do it for you. That is a thing. The warrior, fortify attack, 10 points, and that's just a passive ability. So basically Morrowind has a bunch of behind the scenes dice rolls to determine whether or not you're hitting your enemy and how much damage you're doing. And buffing your attack really helps with those dice rolls. So if you are doing a martial melee type build, feel free to do the warrior. It will help out and get rid of some of the early game annoyances when it comes to hitting enemies, because that's something a lot of people actually despise about Morrowind, is the fact that if you aren't good at the skill you're doing, you will fail trying to do the skill, even if that means swinging a sword and hitting an enemy. Anyways, we're going to go with the lady just for the endurance buff.
Interesting. Now, before I stamp these papers, make sure this information is correct.
Alrighty, so this is going to be our character screen. We have, what, 40 HP to start off. If I chose strength as opposed to luck, I would have a bit more HP because strength determines your starting health, but no health after that. These are our starting stats: strength, intelligence, willpower, agility, speed, endurance, personality, and luck. So if you hover over any of these, it will tell you what each one does. Basically, strength affects some types of attacking, your fatigue, how much you can carry, so on and so forth. There is another aspect to strength, which is honestly hilarious if you super juice strength, and that is how quickly your weapons break on hitting an enemy. So if you super buff strength, you will break your weapons with one swing of your weapon, and it is effing hilarious. Now, as we can see with our minor and major skills, if you want to be able to get to an obscenely high level, this is the numbers you'd want to see for them. All of the minor at 15 and all of the major at 30. I could go more into various aspects, but that is encroaching on min-maxing, and this is meant to be a fun playthrough. If I'm going to be doing anything like grinding my endurance or whatever, it's going to be mostly off screen, so you guys don't need to deal with that. That being said, all these miscellaneous skills, raising any of these is never going to count towards us leveling up. It will count towards something else, and I will go into detail about that later. But it won't count towards the 10 skills we need to raise in order to level up. And that is why I chose these skills, so I could raise any of these in any order to level up when I want to. That is just a preference of mine. You don't need to do that. Just do whatever the heck you want to do at the end of the day. Now then, we do have a couple spells. Hearth Heal will let us heal for 20 to 80 points per 1 second on self. So yeah, that's kind of a gamble. And then water breathing. So starting spells are actually determined by your intelligence as well as low-key your luck. So you can have a lot of spells over here depending on how you build your character right as you start. That being said, usually you wouldn't have to put anything into luck because it's such a small bonus to which starting spells you'd have that it's negligible. But on top of that, it's they're starting spells. It doesn't outright matter. But you will get spells based on which ones you can cast based on your starting stats. So Hearth Heal, I can cast this. That's why it's in my spell list. That is just genuinely why it's there. And if you make your own character at home and you have different spells, that means you can cast them at the start of the game if you have them as your starting spells. That's the only reason they were added. Okay, that's good. You now have a stats menu where you can always view your information. Cool. And we can see in the bottom left our little HP bar and everything. Right-clicking allows you to use the menus. When you are done with them, Right-click again to close
Show
them.
your papers to the captain when you exit to get your release fee.
Alrighty. Read your papers by pressing the space bar while looking at them. Then select Take to pick them up. Okay, so basically, these are our release identification papers. Gotta pick them up.
Papers off the table and go see Captain Gravius.
For release by Emperor Uriel Septim VII's decree to the district of Vardenfell in the province of Morrowind, Hansi, Argonian. Signed, Socius Ergala, agents of the Sidonine Imperial Census and Excise. Okay, yep, and we're gonna go over here and hit Take. I now have an inventory system. Like all menus, right click to use your new menu. You can click and move objects from the world to your inventory. So there is a bit of something a lot of people do. As you can see by my cursor, and this is added by Open Morrowind, I chose it so I'd be able to more visualize it. But taking any of these, because my cursor is turning red, sorry for those that are colorblind, my cursor in the middle, that little crosshair, is turning red, means I'm stilling these. If anyone sees me do this, they will be upset at me. But this, unlike later entries in the Elder Scrolls series, has a bit of a caveat. Stealing in this game means you can sell whatever you stole to any NPC, because they don't know it's stolen. So a lot of people like stealing this because it has a high value. Ultimately, I can't remember exactly how to do this, and I'm doing this on a PC, so that's not it. What is my inventory? There it is. This is going to showcase something else we can do. So we can outright, even while in our inventory, grab that.
Me for a fool.
We're going to add that to our inventory real quick. So now it's in our inventory. And now we're going to grab it and actually just drop it down. And I think we can just drop it down there. And it drops down where we pointed it. This is actually a really cool inventory thing. You can easily place things from your inventory and just out and about. It's a really cool aspect. So now that I picked that up, he's angry.
Talk to Celes Gravius.
But considering this is the tutorial, he's like, fine, whatever, just go. You're not supposed to do that. The reason I dropped the platter is because he will confiscate it if you don't drop it. What are you doing? We'll let your actions go for now. But once you're released, stuff like that will get you arrested again. Bye. But here's a little thing. You notice something with my cursor now? It's white as opposed to red when I'm going over the other things. That means technically I own this and I can just take it. So it's a bit of a caveat of how Morrowind as a whole works, but it's nice. And now we have something that's super expensive that we can use as a starting fund. Just a little showcase of things. Now, so not for nothing, you should learn how to do combat. Pick up the dagger on the table by activating it with space. There's a dagger right over here. So as you can kind of tell, besides this dagger, a lot of these items are considered stealing. Some aren't. It kind of depends on the value of each item, or just the fact of whether or not the devs were feeling froggy, apparently, because the value of that fork sure as heck ain't anything, but gosh, is it considered stealing? So I'm going to do what I consider the classic start of Morrowind ritual. I'm going to steal everything from this room and this room down here, so BRB while I speed this up. You can eat ingredients by equipping them on your character in the inventory menu. Ingredients have different properties. Some may hurt you and some may help. This regional liquor acts like a potion. To drink potions, equip them in the inventory menu. Equip lights and torches in the inventory menu. Lights and torches can only be used for a limited time before they burn out. equip lockpicks in the inventory menu. Try picking the lock at the small chest on the shelf. Note to Hriskar. Hriskar, don't think I've forgotten our wager. I want this dagger sharp as a scamp's claw by morning. Letters, books, and scrolls can be read by equipping them in your inventory menu. Equip the dagger by dropping it on your picture in your inventory menu. Alrighty guys, so first and foremost I'm going to get out a lockpick and showcase how lockpicking works. But before actually doing that, I should probably... I don't even know if I can save yet, weird. Anyways, so lockpicking as a whole is a lot similar in this game to attacking. So equipping a lockpick is actually just going to let you hold it, and then you ready your weapon like you would any other weapon, and you go up to a locked door, chest, whatever, and you try your luck. This is a super easy lock, so basically any lockpick will do it. But for harder locks, you need better lockpicks. You may have noticed when I picked this up or equipped this lockpick, it is an apprentice lockpick, which is the equivalent, I want to say, of 25 points. So it can do any chest of 25 points or lower. But for a 100-point chest, you're basically going to need, I think, a master lockpick of 100 points. Lockpick failed. Ooh, second try, good stuff. So we're going to take all this gold, just drag it over. But something else we should notice with the lockpick. I believe our lockpicks, yep, in the top of that, right underneath what it's called, we have 23 uses left. There are a finite amount of times we can use our lockpick, as well as things like repair hammers and the like. This game doesn't have any sort of perks like Oblivion or Skyrim, so the amount of uses we can use this item are just that. That's the amount of uses we have for this item. That being said, we have a book right here, and honestly, I think I'm going to read every book I come across. So if you want to skip ahead, timestamps down below. By the time we leave the census office, I'm going to consider it an episode, because I know I'm rambling a lot. But we'll go more into various things next episode and how Morrowind works. I know it's a bit of a primer, and if you guys already know Morrowind, sorry. But it's fun for me. The Firmament by Folk. The stars of Tamriel are divided into 13 constellations. 3 of them are the major constellations, known as the Guardians. These are the warrior, the mage, and the thief. Each of the Guardians protects its 3 charges from the 13th constellation, the Serpent. When the sun rises near one of the constellations, it is that constellation's season. Each constellation has a season of approximately 1 month. The Serpent has no season, for it moves about in the heavens, usually threatening one of the other constellations. The Warrior. The Warrior is the first Guardian constellation, and he protects his charges during their seasons. The Warrior's own season is Last Seed, when his strength is needed for the harvest. His charges are the Lady, the Steed, and the Lord. Those born under the sign of the Warrior are skilled with weapons of all kinds, but prone to short tempers. The Mage. The Mage is a Guardian constellation whose season is Rain's Hand, when magicka was first used by men. His charges are the Apprentice, the Golem, and the Ritual. Now that's interesting. Is it supposed to be the Golem or supposed to be the Atronach? I'm wondering if that's a holdover from earlier entries, an aspect of when they recreated this in Open Morrowind, or what? Because there aren't golems in the series. There are Atronachs. So anytime you see an Atronach, just know that's basically a golem, so on and so forth. Those born under the Mage have more magicka and talent for all kinds of spellcasting, but are often arrogant and absent-minded. The Thief is the last Guardian constellation. and her season is the darkest month of evening star. Oh yeah, it's a female. You can kind of see it. Nice. Her charges are the lover, the shadow, and the tower. Those born under the sign of the thief are not typically thieves, though they take risks more often and only rarely come to harm. They'll run out of luck eventually, however, and rarely live as long as those born under other signs. The serpent. The serpent wanders about in the sky and has no season. Though its motions are predictable to a degree, no characteristics are common to all who are born under the sign of the serpent. Those born under this sign are the most blessed and the most cursed. The lady. The lady is one of the warrior's charges, and her season is Hearthfire. Those born under the sign of the lady are kind and tolerant. The steed. The steed is one of the warrior's charges, and her season is mid-year. Those born under the sign of the steed are impatient and always hurrying from one place to another. The Lord. The Lord's season is first seed, and he oversees all of Tamriel during the planting. Those born under the sign of the Lord are stronger and healthier than those born under other signs. The Apprentice. The Apprentice's season is sun's height. Those born under the sign of the Apprentice have a special affinity for magic of all kinds, but are more vulnerable to magic as well. The Atronach. The Atronach, often called the Golem. Okay, so I like how they actually reference that bit, because I was confused, because I've never seen actually Golem in the series. But then again, I don't super read the books, so maybe it is sometimes called Golems. Is one of the mage's charges. Its season is sun's dusk. Those born under this sign are natural sorcerers with deep reserves of magicka, but they cannot generate magicka of their own. The Ritual. The Ritual is one of the mage's charges, and its season is Morning Star. Those born under this sign have a variety of abilities depending on the aspects of the moons and the divines. The Lover. The Lover is one of the thief's charges, and her season is Sun's Dawn. Those born under the sign of the Lover are graceful and passionate. The Shadow. The Shadow season is second seed. The Shadow grants those born under her sign the ability to hide in shadows. The Tower. The Tower is one of the thief's charges, and its season is Frostfall. Those born under the sign of the Tower have a knack for finding gold and can open locks of all kind. Yeah, we're just going to take that. Okay. Let us put away our weapon. So that is another thing we should always do if we're not attacking an enemy or doing something, is put away your weapon. You now have a map menu. It shows you the name of the place you are in and where you're facing. So one more thing you should always do when doing the tutorial. One, take the lantern because it's something you can take, but also engraved ring of healing. This is a fun little side quest kind of thing that stands out a lot to various people. You now have a magic menu where you can see all your power, spells, and magic items. So, like all menus, right-click to use your new menu. Click the spell or magic item you want to make your active magic. Press R to ready your active magic and then click to cast. So magic items in this game, there are various types, but a lot of the time you can actually just cast spells by having it equipped. Kind of like in Dragon Quest where some items let you cast spells by using them. So we could arguably just equip that ring and then start casting the spell on it. It's not a constant effect, it just lets us cast it. Press space to talk to the captain. Select topics to ask about them. Don't try persuasion on him. If you're not good at it, he will start to dislike you. Yes, that is something I will talk about later, persuasion. Either way, let's talk to this wonderful individual. First, let me take your identification papers. Thank you. Word of your arrival only reached me yesterday. I am Celius Gravius, but my background is not important. I'm here to welcome you to Morrowind. release identification has been removed from your inventory. So, Morrowind. Yes, you're in Morrowind. I don't know why you're here, or why you were released from prison and shipped here. But your authorization comes directly from Emperor Uriel Septim VII himself, and I don't need to know any more than that. When you leave this office, you are a free man, but before you go, I have instructions on your duties, instructions from the Emperor, so pay careful attention. So as you just saw, dialogue menus are kind of unique in this game. Various NPCs will say things, and some things will be a different color. They will also be added to this menu to the right. You can either click on them in this, or click on them over here, and it will continue dialogue as a whole. So talking to NPCs will get you more dialogue topics. That being said, these dialogue topics are not just for him. Now that I know about Uriel Septim, I can talk to various NPCs that may know about Uriel Septim because it's a dialogue topic I know. So it's worth talking to a lot of NPCs. So let's continue this dialogue. Uriel Septim. Yes, Uriel Septim is still the Emperor. According to my instructions, he personally authorized your release from prison and your delivery here. It's all very mysterious, but that's the way the Empire works. Silence, secrecy. Let not the left hand know what the right hand is doing. Okay, so now we can talk about the Empire. Yes, of course. This is the Empire. This is Vvardenfell district of the province of Morrowind. And Morrowind has been part of the Empire for over 100 years. Is it 100 or 400? I may have to mess with my settings a bit to increase text size. The current Emperor is Uriel Septim, 21st? 24th. It has a TH. 24th of the Septim line. You haven't been in prison that long, have you? Nothing wrong with your head, is there? The men said you were acting a little strange when they brought you from the ship. And yeah, just a bit. Okay, so we have a new thing to talk about, right? Oh, actually it didn't let me ask about Vvardenfell. Vvardenfell is the landmass we're on. That's a part of Morrowind. Anyways, let's talk background first. He is Celius Gravius, the Knight Errant of the Imperial Legion. You can almost always ask about backgrounds to get who the heck this dude is, basically their class and what faction they are. So if you just want to, hey, who the heck are you? Background. And it's almost always at the top of the menu. So duties. This package came with the news of your arrival. You are to take it to Caius Casadus in the town of Balmora. Go to the South Wall Corner Club and ask for Caius Casadus. They'll know where to find him. Serve him as you would serve the Emperor himself. I also have a letter for you, and a dispersal to your name. Journal has been updated. Direction to Caius Casadus has been added to your inventory. Package for Caius Casadus has been added. 87 gold has been added to my inventory. Nice. So, let's see here. Is trade in Caius Casadus. Let's ask about Caius Casadus. Report to Caius Casadus in Balmora. I can't tell you where to find him, but you are to go to the South Wall Corner Club and ask for him. Someone there can direct you. Balmora. Balmora is north of Sidonin, the town we're currently in. The road passes Pelagiad village and Fort Pelagiad. Crosses a deep ravine. Passes Fort Moonmoth and turns west across Oughta River and into Balmora. The South Wall Corner Club is to the southeast, Balmora, on the east side of the river. For more detailed directions, talk to Elon the Scow at Ariel's Trade House, here in Sidonin. But take my advice. You're new here. Take the Silt Strider to Balmora. Fast, cheap, safe. Cross the bridge and head east. Can't miss it. So this is something we're going to have to deal with a lot in this game. Maps? And quests, as an overall thing, do not show you where everything is. They just don't do that. You need to know directions. You need to be able to follow directions, and you need to be able to problem solve and discover where you're needed to go. We noticed when we got the duties bit, our journal has been updated, and we also received directions in our inventory. This is to showcase how to handle quests. When we check our journal, it's going to go over everything we talked about, as well as our players' thoughts on the quest as a whole. So there are a few other things we can ask about. Let's see here. First, my trade. I'm a knight errant of the Order of Ebonheart, and an imperial emissary attached to the Census and Excise office here in Satanine. So, we know about Imperials now. I'm proud to be an Imperial. Through our legions and rule of law, we've brought peace and civilization to the provinces of Tamriel. And then, lastly, Siltstrider. Siltstriders carry passengers and cargo between settlements and Vardenfell. Bears depend on distance to be traveled. Siltstriders are giant insects. A compartment for passengers and cargo is hollowed from the creature's shell. The driver directs the beast by directly manipulating exposed organs and tissues. Siltstriders travel between Aldrune, Balmora, Sidanine, Saran, Nisus, Mulagmar, Margan, and North Landing near Ravak. So, there are a few means of fast travel in this game, and Siltstriders are one of them. Another one is being teleported via the Mages Guild, and I think there's also a few boat ferry kind of things you could do. But yeah. Alrighty. Looks like we're good to head out. Press J to use your journal and review what you've been told. You should probably check out Ariel's trade house up to the left. You're on your own now. Good luck. Alrighty, guys. Well, I can't believe I spent an hour just talking about Morrowind in the tutorial. But it was fun. Either way, I think we're officially done with today's episode. Depending on how much I can record, I may double up on episodes on the day this is released. If you see another episode after this, it's because this episode was nothing but opening nonsense. If you don't see another episode after this, I ran out of recording and editing time, so sorry. Either way, I'll talk to you guys in another episode of something else on my channel. Hopefully you had fun, all that stuff, and ciao. Howdy, folks. If you liked what you saw, maybe consider another series of mine, like this one, or maybe just check out my channel. And if you enjoyed that video, I'd really appreciate if you took the time to like and comment down below. It helps me get more videos into your hands. Thanks in advance.